Today, we're bringing a story to you that you've heard many times before, but it does have a few changes to it. We're having AUX Resources, formerly known as ORMX Resources, and we're going over almost a half a dozen very large changes that have occurred over the last few months. We're going to be going over the fact that, one, the company changed its name to AUX Resources. We have two new directors and a new CEO as well. There's a share consolidation that happened, a large financing, and plus a very significant property acquisition. We got a few questions that are going to be talking about this year's drill program, while at the same time, we have 6 specific investor questions as our community has been following this story for quite some time. And we'll get to those at the very end of this interview. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ian Slater. You're the new CEO and director, and Brad Rourke, you are the director. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I don't know who's going to go first, but please, I'd love to hear about a little bit about your background and what you've been doing in this space, but also what brought you to AUX Resources. Brad, we can start with yourself if you'd like.
What brought me is the opportunity, of course, but why AUX? I currently run a company in the exact same area called Scotty Resources, and I've been on that project for about 5 years. I have done about approximately 14 transactions with Scotty, and I've been trying to do kind of new where all the opportunity may or may not be in the area, just for the simple fact that I'm a boots on the ground kind of guy. The fact of the matter is, and we're here to talk about RMX, not Scotty, but I mean, Scotty tried to buy RMX many times, as well as the other properties, and it just wasn't going to work for Scotty. Shareholders, it's just a little bit behind, and I didn't want to confuse people. But I saw the opportunity. It was a great opportunity for Ian and I to start doing something together, because over the last year, we've spent a little bit of time together. I've watched how he's ran his business and given me a lot of great advice. And because I know the area, I saw this opportunity. And so I discussed it with Ian, and I go, I think there's something here that, here's a company that's a victim of coming from a bear market, a very difficult business in the last little while. And they were saddled with a little bit of a debt and basically just didn't have any traction or momentum. And I thought that we could bring that to the story. And we proposed it, and lo and behold, and it was, things were difficult 3-4 months ago. And we proposed an opportunity that we thought was good for everybody. And it was accepted. And then so we've been hair straight back ever since.
Very nice. And I appreciate that very much, Brad. Which brings us over to yourself, Ian. If you can give us a little bit of an introduction to yourself. You're now the new CEO of AUX Resources as well. What brought you to this company? What do you see its future is going to be?
Well, hair straight back for the last couple of months is exactly right. I run a company called Libero, Copper and Gold, also in the Golden Triangle, but at the northern end. Very similar project, actually. Libero's Big Red project, similar to our AUX's Georgia project. I got to know Brad and his VP Exploration, Thomas, over the last year, and I really love what they're doing. And Stuart, they're ingrained in the community there. I mean, Brad actually lives in Smithers, and they really know how to work there. So I wanted to do something together as well. And when this opportunity came up with, like Brad said, Scotty and AUX were in conversations. An opportunity came up to do this separately. I jumped at it. And my background, a bit about that, is I'm an accountant, actually, and I ran Arthur Andersen's mining business in the 90s in the Soviet Union, and then up until about 2003, I ran 2007, I ran Ernst & Young's Canadian mining practice. And since then, I've been acquiring mineral assets.
Absolutely. And well, welcome aboard to the team. We've been following this story for quite some time. I know that you both had said that you're also with other companies as well. Ian, I can imagine that some investors may be curious. If you're currently running another company, are you going to have the full amount of time to go into AUX Resources as well? To that question, what would you say to that?
Well, there's a lot of synergies between the two projects. They're very similar projects in the same locale. So that helps a lot. And also we have a lot of the same shareholders. A lot of Libero and Scotty shareholders invested in AUX in this last financing. So it's and you don't know what the future has. The future depends on a lot of things could change over the next few months. We've got 3 drill programs going on. but I think this whole area is just begging out for consolidation. So after everyone's drill campaigns are done, that's something we all got to talk about. And not just amongst ourselves, but with other players in the steward camp as well. There's so many juniors in that camp, and it needs someone to consolidate it all.
Absolutely. And it's been nice to see as well the reignite, everything's being reignited with everyone's passion towards us. So it was a little bit, COVID obviously brought a lot of things to a standstill. I think a lot of that's starting to change, and a lot of things are starting to open back up. People are pushing forward, and a lot of attention is now going back to precious metals. Did that come into play with what I'm about to talk about here? Because recently you had a very, very big acquisition. You're acquiring Isla Gold Corp, and you have an option for also the Independence and Silver Crown properties. Can you explain a little bit about what that could mean to your company and why you went after this property, or this company, I should say?
You want me to take that one, Ian? Yeah,
You can start.
Sure, I'll take that question. With respect to the Independence and the Silver Crown properties, again, I tried to acquire that many, many times. And in fact, the gentleman who owned that property really, really turned the corner for Scotty as he vended in properties in around the Scotty gold mine. So in my relationship with Mr. Billingsley's been over 30 years. I was a claim staker for him in the late 80s and all through the 90s. And he didn't want that property to be second fiddle to Scotty, because he's a very large shareholder of Scotty, and he's been holding on that one for 20 years. So I felt it was something that we wanted, and because there's such momentum in the industry, we figured we needed to snap it up, because now there's people everywhere up there now. I'm spending a lot of time in Stewart right now, and you can see people sniffing around looking for opportunities. So I think that property is situated where we have a very good theory that it's an extremely interesting piece of land for the Golden Triangle. Lots of smoke that just needs a lot more following up on. I think it's Mr. Billingsley's favorite property in his portfolio, and he's held that for 20 years, self-funding it. So I think just getting some new life and some good geology in there is we might be able to unlock this value. As we get economies of scale, it just becomes more efficient to run these things. And so I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And
well, could I add a little bit to that too? Is if you look at these properties, Independence had historically lots of silver mines on there. So actual active adits producing silver back decades ago. It's really, really interesting geology, and it surrounds the historic Redcliffe mine as well, in that entire Independence property, and links up well with some of AUX's existing claims. So it really is starting to consolidate that region. And then if you look at the Silver Crown property, I mean, that's directly adjacent to some of Ascot and Pretium's ground, which is really exciting ground. When they did some prospecting on there last year, Mr. Billingsley's team, they found it was something like 900 meters of outcropping high-grade mineralization along that Silver Crown property. So some really, really exciting targets, and we're going to work on them this year and get them drill ready to hopefully drill them next summer.
Absolutely. And gentlemen, I appreciate answers from both of you there. And I know that this acquisition has not officially closed as of yet. Do you have any type of update or maybe a possible timeline that you think that it may close?
Sure, it'll close over the next month. It's the technical reports just going through the exchange, but as you can imagine right now, the between COVID and vacations for exchange people and the amount of transactions that just happened in our industry, it's taken a little bit of time to get through there, but it's not actually holding us back in any way. We're still exploring those properties as if we owned them, because it's just a matter of time.
Absolutely. And there have been a lot. I spoke to a very close friend of mine. He's been in the game for a very long time, over 3 decades. And he was always saying 2020 will be the year of the pen. And a lot of these different land packages are switching hands. There's a lot of different deals going on. So it's a very exciting time, especially for AUX Resources and their shareholders, because it's now a whole new property that you can now explore. There's a whole new potential for that blue sky opportunity. Now, the acquisition of this, it is very dilutive to shareholders. And for the existing shareholders, I believe it's 11.5 million outstanding shares after the share consolidation. And then ISA will be acquired for about 11.5 million shares as well. So it's almost right on par, almost doubling it. But when you're seeing that happen, though, if you're providing that value, if that opportunity is there, I can't see why any shareholder would be angry by that. So a little bit piggybacking on the last question, do you believe the value is there for that property? And do you believe that obviously your current shareholders should be excited about this?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go, Brad, but the answer is absolutely. Is there
you go ahead.
Properties?
Yeah. I mean, I think
well, I spent the last few months looking at Independence and Silver Crown, and they are really exciting properties. And it's just what we're doing with AUX is building a portfolio of these properties and historic mines, and adding on Independence and Silver Crown on top of Georgia River it just makes the company that much stronger.
Absolutely. And I'm actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump into one of our first investor questions because it's perfectly aligned with what we were just talking about. And this investor had asked, is the company's main focus still going to be on Georgia River? Or will the newly acquired property be a significant focus as well, or the primary focus?
Well, significant focus, but for the first year though, Georgia is drill ready, so we're actually drilling it in 2 weeks. It's happening. Independence and Silver Crown, we're on the ground, but doing the work necessary to doing the science really to get it ready so that we're drilling the right targets next summer. So it will be, I guess the simple answer to that question is Georgia project is the primary focus this summer. We're drilling it, but in next year and the years after, we'll also Independence and Silver Crown will also be a big focus of the company.
Absolutely. And whenever you want to start drilling, especially when you're adding more properties as well, drilling costs money. And you recently just had a large financing. Can you speak a little bit about that? I believe it was oversubscribed. Are there any strategic investors or firms that went into that financing that investors should know about?
You wanted me to do it, Brad, or you want to do it?
Yeah, you process the paperwork. You're doing a heck of a job, Ian. I'll take the hard questions. You can take those easy ones.
Right. I'll take the layup ones. We announced a $4 million financing as part of Brad and I joining the team, and by the next morning we were oversubscribed. It was we're in that kind of market, and it was really a mix of existing AUX shareholders, which was fantastic, and Scotty and Libero shareholders, and new people as well. So there were a lot of the financing was high net worths and family offices. So one family bought 10% actually, so they're 10% shareholders of AUX, and really it was people that Brad and I have deep relations with, and important people in this industry.
Yeah, and I'd say that one family office owns 9.9%, and they would like to keep they would like to keep anonymous. I mean, at this stage, as just walking into this, but they sure voted to the trust in Ian and I, and trusted us because this happened very quickly, and so we're blessed to have the support that we have from industry. People who know the industry well.
And well said.
Yeah,
and I've got a couple more questions. If you don't
mind.
Lot
of geologists and letter writers and really people and other CEOs that really understand what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and that's always fantastic to hear. Absolutely, you've got to have the right people in your shareholder base because they understand what you're trying to do. They understand the mission, and then a lot of them, if they are in the industry, if they're CEOs, if they're executives. They understand what to look for as well. So it's exciting to hear that they did get in there. What's also exciting is finding out what exactly some of that money is being used for. So I got a few questions here specifically on the financing, if you don't mind. From that financing, does that now mean that you are fully funded throughout your summer program? And if that's a yes, if you did find something like, oh, you know what? No, I want to get a few more holes. We didn't think this was going to be here. We want to keep going. is there still money as well to do some additional drilling should there be reason for that this summer?
You take that one, Ian. I think, I mean, or
Okay, sure.
yeah. I mean, I know I'll take that one. Look, you're getting too much airtime. You know, I think we're well budgeted to going into this season. We're relying on other data. It's very exciting data. We've got a great team up on site now. We have to understand that we're just combing through this. We see it as a great opportunity, but I think we just need to get a little bit of traction, make sure we got this science down right. So, I mean, again, you see what these first drill holes are, but I mean, we're going to have to test a lot of theories here. There's a lot of other great things that we're just learning now as we're up on site and we put the camp in there. And I've personally been on site a couple times already in the last week. I was there 2 days ago, and there's a whole bunch of core that hasn't been split from the 90s program. And we didn't know that going into this. And now we look, oh my gosh, there's a lot of information there. So we've got a lot of work that we can do on the surface, as well as taking some of the theories that we inherited and testing them. But I think, this is going to be a fact-finding mission this year. We're very excited, but that's, I think we're well funded for this year, and we don't need to run down this hill. We're going to take our time, do things right. I mean, that would be my take, Ian. I think you should be about the same.
Yeah, exactly right. And with $5.5 million, it's more money than we can spend in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Good problem to have. It's a fantastic problem to have.
Yeah.
And speaking more specifically about Georgia River, as we know, we've in past interviews, you put a lot of focus into explaining it. Yourself, Ian, just now saying that it's absolutely the primary focus for this summer's drill program. You put out a news release that spoke a little bit about how you're going to attack it and things like that. Can you take a couple of minutes just to explain to investors what's the initial plan for Georgia River? Do you have certain points or certain areas like, no, the drill is going to go into that spot first 100%? And what would that look like if an investor is just curious about what to expect throughout this drill program?
He directly asked. Yeah, he directly asked you, Ian. But maybe I'll address that.
Okay,
Brendan. And it's
either way.
In full honesty, it's work in progress right now. So we have a collaboration between 3 independent scientists that are going. We want to get the right mix of. Because it's a historic mine, so there's a lot of known geology, but we just don't want to drill that the below the mine, which is very, very exciting. I mean, Paul Metcalf has put together some theories into this, and they make sense. So I would think, and again, it's a moving target, but let's just say we would give a third of that drilling to there, a third to stepping out from there, and then put some. Sorry about that. Put in some exploratory holes on the fringes to test some theories, but we don't need to go a whole bunch of crazy. What we learned at Scotty, it's an epithermal system. You need to model these things. And so I think this is a great opportunity to understand rather than just read. We understand what we're reading, but we got to get our fingers in this and test a few theories. So I think you're going to see a program that gives us hit the target that we're really excited about, but we really want to understand this. It's not a one and done type project. It is a past producing gold mine. We've learned a lot, even with Scotty, same sort of thing 2 years ago. We relogged core, we remodeled it, and then we sat around. And so that's the approach we're taking here. And like I say, we have three PhDs, not that other, all independent, all trying to make sure that we do the best for what we're trying to do and really try and understand this, right? That would be my answer. It's a little mix of everything.
Mm-hmm. But in addition to what Brad said, there is that portion of the drill program that's exploratory, where we're going to go after that deformation zone that's right along the Sovereign Fault, that's just to the west of the historical mine. Which is Dr. Metcalf's theory. I mean, that's really exciting for me, right? That's if we hit a drill hole there, that's game changing. Yeah, and that's the exciting stuff is those exploratory holes on the theories.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes really well. We're going to start jumping into the investor questions because we always want to make sure that they have a voice that's heard. And a lot of these questions are actually fantastic, one of which goes directly to what we were just talking about. And this investor asked, what is the approximate time frame for diamond drilling to commence at Georgia River, the exact property or exact target we were just talking about?
You're so polite, Ian.
It's shortly, yeah. but Brad's actually right there.
Yeah, I know.
So Brad's actually in Stewart handling the logistics, so he knows it intimately.
So one of the advantages that we had here, and I'll answer your question, but I'll maybe give a little bit more background. One of the advantages we have here is both Ian and I did extensive bidding processes for each project, so it was easier. And because I'm here and I know pretty much every contractor on a personal level, we were able to make sure we're getting good value and such. So Sean from Rourke, who lives in Stewart, drilling all Treaty Creek stuff, been around the area, knows the area extremely well, has a yard right there, camps in, have pads built next week. That drills could be turning in 2 weeks. So we have the contractors lined up. We've got a plan, and I guess we're scurrying around like mice right now for sure. But 2 weeks, August 1st, the drilling should start. Barring I can't control weather and such, and it's a cold year this year. But I mean that's we're good to go, and it just all fit in. Only because when we give the bidding for Scotty, we know who had, and we didn't necessarily use all the same people. We wanted to get some diversity. So Sean over at Rourke is drilling that, and he's good to go, and he's already got the drill sitting there and starting to pack things ready up to go up to camp now. So we're in good shape. It's happening.
Absolutely.
And our geologists and logistics guys have been in Stewart for a couple of weeks already.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Fantastic. This is what I'm sure investors want to be hearing. Well, to go a little bit more on this as well, this may go right back to yourself, Brad. This investor is asking, do you have any of your drill locations at Georgia River already defined? If so, is the initial plan to drill deeper under the historic mine or on the peripheral of the mine into the large VTEM anomaly?
Well, we're going to do both. I think we might answer that. But absolutely, there are a drill program laid out. Again, we haven't got the final decision. We want a couple other eyes look, but it's certainly there. And just the final decision as made. I've heard all the theories. I just don't want to say something and then we get together tomorrow. But both targets both areas are certainly going to be drilled, and we're just trying to decide how much on each and such right now, how we distribute that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing with a lot of investor questions as well. I'll always ask them. Some obviously need to go out in news releases. They need to be material. So by all means, I appreciate that answer very much. Just answering the investor in general. I always love seeing that from executives. So thank you for that. The next question here is, what were the compelling reasons for acquiring Silver Crown Independence properties? I know we already went over this in detail, but when it comes to this, was there anything else that maybe we didn't mention before that really is, hey, you know what? I've loved these properties for such a long time. Now I get a chance to actually acquire them and to run it. That's fantastic. Is that still the answer? Or do you think there's something there as well that maybe has been building for a while that maybe wasn't in the first part when we were talking about this?
But I think it's not just us. It's all the other operators in Stewart also wanted to buy these properties, right? So Mr. Billingsley's had them for 20 years, and other people wanted to buy them. And the day that we press released that acquisition, we had an offer from another company in Stewart to buy one of them from us. So there's a lot of competition for those properties, and it's exciting that AUX was able to get them.
Absolutely. No, I'd like to actually add something to that, because I've been trying to buy it for 3 years. Mr. Billingsley's a personal friend of mine. Like I said, in the past, we're really excited. It's just right in the right area. There's a whole bunch of smoke all around it. It's just a patchwork of everybody owning it. But, the reality is somebody else had that property in January, and I've been working on it for a few years, and it was trying to for Scotty. And And I was frustrated because I was like, what? Like somebody scooped me, and I worked really hard at it. And then it was the fact that that other group couldn't close on it. And that's where the opportunity came back. And that's when Ian and I'm going, you know what, Ian, this thing will never come back. Once this is gone, we'll never, ever be able to get it back. And that's why, I mean, the interest from it from a lot of people, but it literally fell apart with another group. And then I was like, okay, we need to do this now because it'll be gone. And judging from what I think the industry, you know, all of a sudden, you know, there's momentum in the industry. And so there's lots of people. I get phone calls every day, people who want to JV into our properties and such because we have such a fantastic land package. But it was literally because somebody dropped the ball on that. And I was like, okay, how do we do it? It wasn't for Scotty. And so too expensive for Scotty at that time. But I'd go, Ian, it's a great idea. I think it's awesome. And it really fits what we want to do because we're both up here anyways. So, but there was a lot of interest in that property. You should put Mr. Billingsley on one of these calls because he could talk about a whole bunch of properties. He was the vendor of CP Gold. He's got his fingers in, and you know, he's probably owns more tenure than anybody. I'd love you to put you on him because he could tell you the answer. Everybody was trying to buy it from him forever. It's almost like his baby. I think Scotty's the better deal, but he really, you know, he's been at that 20 years, and you ask him how many people have tried to buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad I asked that question again because I was reading it over. I'm like, well, we have talked about that, but I like the way that you approach that, Brad. I appreciate you can really see the passion of wanting to explore these properties. And that leads me into the last question for myself personally, but I know that investors want to hear as well. We'll start with yourself, Ian. In closing remarks for this interview, now being a part of this team and really pushing forward AUX resources, what are you most excited about with this company, and what can investors be excited about for the rest of 2020 being investors in this company?
Well, I certainly, first and foremost, is the drill program. We're doing 3,500 meters of drilling at the old Georgia River mine, and that you know, the larger hydrothermal target there that we're excited about. Also, though, that 11,000 or 11.7 kilometers of old drill core that we're going to log and sample, that's going to give us a huge amount of information. So that's really exciting. There's other cases in the Golden Triangle of companies going through old core like that and making discoveries, actually, because it was never sampled between the high grade veins. So that as adding on 11.75 kilometers of core versus the 3.5 kilometers that we're going to drill ourselves. It's an enormous amount of information we're going to get this fall. And we're Brad and I like doing deals, so we're working on consolidating more properties into AUX as well. So there'll be a lot of news over this fall.
Very interesting. And for yourself, Brad?
And I'd like to add to that too, Ian. We're a great team, you and I. You know what I did, what I learned from Scotty is we went and relogged core, and in the past, from what I can see, is when they drilled these things, they were really looking for quartz carbonate veins, and then they'd cut those out, and that's what they would sample. And a lot of the success, I believe, from Scotty when we modeled it, is that we went and resampled and did full elemental surveys on these core, and that kind of set up the model which we're being successful for right now at Scotty. So when we kind of come up and we're going, really what it looks like. Now this drilling was done, I believe, 1990, 1991, that's what I assume has happened. Whatever they've seen there, what their indicators were, which is basically quartz veins, that's what they sampled, where, you know, basically what we want to do is take that, do full elemental surveys and see how these things are reacting to each other. I think that was the key to why we're having success at Scotty right now. So we'll replicate that, and you just can't have enough data and information. So it's like a $5 million drill program laying on the ground, is what it truly really is. 10,000 meters of core. Oh my goodness, right? Never even been split. So I think there's opportunity there. And like Ian said, you know, there's another company out in the Golden Triangle that, oh my gosh, the stock price doubled just from relogging core that they didn't get done from before. So it's exciting times. And again, all our the scientists are all excited, right? Craig up there, who's the operations manager and a young PhD, he's just dying to get at that, right? I like seeing excited geologists. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I know exactly what company you're talking about, and I could not believe that that was sitting there the whole time. And they went back to it and found it. So there's a lot of, that speculation, a lot of opportunity in blue sky. What's in that? I think you said 10,000 meters of core. What's in it? So that's absolutely
yeah.
something for investors to be excited about. Gentlemen, I appreciate very much for you taking your time. Love welcoming you to our community, but also to the AUX resources team. There's lots ahead. You have a pretty healthy war chest of cash to use. There's new properties to go after. There's Georgia River, which is in a few weeks that you're going to be really putting those drills into the ground and starting to test out theories, and all that core as well, to be able to reassess and see, did someone from before, did they miss something, or did they not look at it in a certain way? So lots of opportunity here, gentlemen. I appreciate this very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day as well.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you very much.